All right, today we're going to do something really cool. We are going to build a fully customizable AI personal assistant. And get this, we'll do it without writing a single line of complicated code. Let's dive in.
Just think about it for a second. An assistant that you build, one that can manage your calendar, summarize your emails, and even go out and research topics for you, all perfectly tailored to exactly what you need. And no, this isn't science fiction. It's something you can actually build right now.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, that sounds great, but how is that even possible without being some kind of coding genius? Well, the answer is a really powerful automation tool that has been a total game changer for people like us. So first up, let's start with the basics. We're going to break down what exactly n8n is and why its whole approach is so different when it comes to building automations and AI. The best way to think about n8n is like a box of digital Legos. Seriously, each little block is called a node, and each node represents a specific action, like send an email or get data from a website. You just snap these nodes together on your screen to build a workflow. It's this visual drag-and-drop approach that makes it possible for anyone to build powerful stuff, not just professional coders.
Now, this is a really important difference to get your head around. A simple automation, think of it like a train on a fixed track. It always goes from point A to B to C. Same path every time. But an AI agent, that's more like a taxi driver. It can think, it can plan, and it can choose the best route to take based on what's happening in the moment. And the cool thing is, with n8n, you can build both.
Okay, so to really see how this works, we're going to start with something super simple, an automation that sends you a daily weather report. This is the perfect way to really understand the core ideas before we jump into building our big AI assistant. You know, no matter how wild or complicated an automation gets, it almost always boils down to these three simple steps. First, you need a trigger. This is what kicks the whole thing off. In our case, it's just a daily schedule. Second, you get data. Here, we'll go grab the forecast from a weather service. And third, you take action. We'll take that data, make it look nice, and send it in an email. Each one of those is a node. Trigger, get data, action. Simple, right?
All right, so we've got our basic train running on its track. Now let's start adding some junctions and signals. Let's make this workflow actually think for itself.
Yeah, this is where things start to get really powerful. What if you don't want your workflow to do the exact same thing every single time? What if you need it to react differently depending on the information it's getting? And here's a perfect example of how that works. Imagine you have a sponsorship form on your website. You can use a logic node called a switch. It literally peeks inside the data coming from the form. Let's say it looks at the proposed budget, and then sends it down a different path. If the budget's less than $1 million, boom, it automatically sends a polite no thanks email. But if it's over $1 million, it sends a completely different let's definitely talk email. It's making a decision all by itself. Okay, so we've seen automations that follow a strict set of rules and even ones that can make simple decisions. Now, it's time for the main event, building a true AI assistant. A dynamic, flexible agent that can actually reason on its own. So what's the secret sauce? What actually makes up one of these AI agents? Well, at its heart, it has these three key parts. You've got the brain, which is a large language model like GPT-4o. That's the part that does all the thinking. Then there's the memory, which lets it remember what you've talked about before. And crucially, you have the tools. These are its hands, how it actually interacts with your digital world. Apps like Gmail, your calendar, Google Sheets, you name it. So what can you actually do with this thing? Well, you could just ask it, hey, summarize my recent emails for me. The agent's brain understands your request, knows it needs to use its Gmail tool, and then gets to work reading your inbox and spitting out a summary for you. But you can go way beyond that. You could ask it something like, what are the best recent posts about AI on Reddit? And here's the cool part. It doesn't just do a simple search. It can be set up to call another one of your complex workflows that goes out, scrapes a bunch of different subreddits, analyzes all the posts, and brings back a perfectly curated list. And here's where it just feels like magic. This is what makes it a true personal assistant. It can access your Google Calendar, figure out when you're free, and help you schedule a call. It's not just blindly following steps. It's understanding what you're asking and using its tools to get it done. So let's zoom out for a second. The big picture here isn't just about building a couple of handy workflows. It's about giving you a framework to connect almost any digital service you can think of, basically letting you build your own custom software without needing to be a software engineer. And how is that possible? Through something called an API.
Now, I know that term can sound a little techy and intimidating, but the analogy here makes it so simple. An API is just like a vending machine. You don't need to know how the machine works on the inside, right? You just walk up, push a button for what you want, that's your request, and out pops your snack. That's the response. n8n lets you connect to thousands of these APIs, unlocking the power of all those services.
So you see, from automating the simple, boring stuff to building a full-blown AI agent that helps run your day, the possibilities are, well, they're pretty much endless. You now have all the fundamental building blocks. So the only real question left is, what tedious, time-consuming, or just plain boring task are you going to get your new assistant to do for you first?